Have you ever wondered how people made bread thousands of years ago? Long before supermarkets, electric ovens, or even packaged yeast, people were baking one of the world's oldest foods using only a few simple ingredients. The story begins around 10,000 years ago, when early farmers started growing grains like wheat and barley. After harvesting the grain by hand, they spread it out to dry. Then came the hardest part, grinding it into flour. This wasn't done with machines. Instead, people used two heavy stones called querns. Grain was placed between the stones and crushed by hand. It was slow, tiring work, and producing enough flour for just one family could take hours every day. Once the flour was ready, it was mixed with water to form a simple dough. The earliest breads probably looked more like flatbreads than the soft loaves we're familiar with today. They were cooked directly on hot stones or buried beneath hot ashes from a fire. Then, by what was likely a lucky accident, people discovered something remarkable. If dough was left sitting for a while, wild yeast floating naturally in the air would begin to grow inside it. Tiny bubbles formed, making the dough rise. This was the birth of sourdough bread, thousands of years before commercial yeast was invented. The ancient Egyptians became masters of this technique. By around 3000 BCE, they were baking light, risen loaves in clay ovens. Bakers carefully saved a small piece of fermented dough from one batch to start the next. It's the same principle used by sourdough bakers today. Bread making continued to improve in ancient Greece and Rome. Larger mills made grinding grain easier, and public bakeries produced bread for entire cities. Some Roman bakeries even had stone mills powered by animals, allowing them to produce flour much faster than hand grinding. But ancient bread wasn't exactly like the bread found in modern stores. It was usually denser, darker, and sometimes gritty because tiny particles from the grinding stones ended up in the flour. Even so, it was one of the most important foods in daily life. For many people, bread wasn't just a meal, it was survival. What's fascinating is that despite thousands of years of technological progress, the basic recipe has hardly changed. Flour, water, salt, and time. Four simple elements that have fed civilizations, built empires, and remained a staple of human life for thousands of years. Sometimes the most ordinary food has the most extraordinary history.